Stampin' Sharon. On today's video, I'm gonna make kind of a zany little card. I hope that you're inspired. I hope I teach you some tips and tricks. If you currently already don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd be honored to help you with your Stampin' Up supply needs. You can simply go over to my store, which you can find in the description box below. Or if you need to contact me, you can do that through my blog, which is also below. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that. If you'll go ahead and do that now and then hit that little bell, you'll be notified when I go live or when I upload a video. Let's make a funny card. So there's another birthday in our family, and it's for my 5-year-old grandson. So I needed the words happy birthday, so I chose itty bitty birthdays, and I'm using this sentiment right here. I wanted to put his year, so I pulled out the playful alphabets. So many ways to use this. You'll find some duplicate letters like the E, and let's see, there's 2 E's. But yeah, it really makes it fun to spell out someone's name. And I thought for a 5-year-old, how fun is that to have his name spelled out on his birthday card? I chose to use Whale of a Time Designer Series paper because, I don't know, it's great for kids. So that's what I picked. So it's a shaker card. Again, how fun for a 5-year-old. I'm going to change how I did this. I wasn't quite happy with it, so we're going to modify this card. But this is basically it. Can you see the 5 floating around in there with the sequins? So I want to walk you through how to make a shaker card easily. I hear it all the time. Oh, those are so hard. They're really not. There's just a few key elements that you need, and I'm going to walk you through that today. So let me share with you my supplies. I have a piece of Granny Apple Green that measures 1 1/4 by 3 3/4. I have 2 sheets of our window sheets, the acetate window sheets from Stampin' Up, and I cut these at 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and you will need 2 of those. I have a strip of Whisper White that measures 1 inch by 3 1/2 inches. I have his name spelled. His name is Kason, and he's going to be 5. So then I have some little scraps of cardstock. Because I was cutting off bits, these are just 1 inch by 1 inch squares. I have Pretty Peacock, Granny Apple Green, Calypso Coral, Gorgeous Grape, and Pacific Point. And then I just have a little scrap of the Granny Apple Green that I'm going to use for his for the number 5. I have a piece of the Designer Series paper that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have my Whisper White Thick, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. So as I mentioned, you need your acetate sheets. To pop up his name, I'm going to use the foam adhesive sheets from Stampin' Up. I've really gotten addicted to these. They're kind of fun. You're going to need some foam adhesive strips, or you could use strips of this, but that would be a lot harder. We just want a strip, and you'll understand as I go through the shaker card, we just want some strips of foam. And of course we want some sequins. I picked Whale of a Time sequins because I picked Whale of a Time Designer Series paper. So the first thing I want to do is I want to cut off a piece of my foam. I don't want to waste it, so I want to just cut a piece off. So I'm just going to use my ruler and a Sharpie. This is the cover that's going to get torn off. And I want a 1 inch strip, and I've already kind of marked it. I was going to do it before the video, and I was like, no, let's just walk them through how I do this. And I actually need another piece because of how his name is spelled. So we're just going to do this. And I really only need a 1 inch on this side, so I'm not going to cut all the way. I'm just going to place my little squares. And then I'm just going to cut it. That way we don't waste anything. And I will take this and put it back on there. No waste. We're going to bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And I got a new plate in and I hadn't explained it to you, so I want to do that. It is numbered number 5. All the plates have numbers. So the platform is number 1. Whenever you're cutting with dies, you need the number 2. And then you have your number 3 plates that are the clear plates. So the number 5 plate is actually a magnet. Let's see, let me get my... So it's magnetic. See, stays on there. And while I don't need the magnet for cutting the foam letters, it's the same thickness as the clear plate. So I'm just going to do it all at one time. And I will warn you, my table that I demo on is a lot higher, so it's really hard for me to crank it. But when it's down at a normal level, it's not, I promise. Now, if you choose to do the letters all in one color, like I did the first card, you still want to space out the letters, because if they're too close together, it is really hard to get them out of that foam. Okay, so we want to add our clear plate. There we go. It's hard at this angle. Oh gosh, the foam is thick, so it is tough, but it's just a lot tougher when I'm doing it at this angle. I practiced before I started the video and I was like, oh gosh, that's gonna kill me, but we'll see. Now, what I want to do now, you can see where it's cut them out, but there's a little bit that still hasn't cut. So this one, we want everybody to be sideways, and we're going to do it again. We're just cutting through that backing of the foam. So we kind of have to turn it and cut a few more times than normal. Okay, that should do it. And I did have a little piece of shelf paper underneath. Again, because my table is so tall, I need it to keep it from moving. I had this in my hand, I didn't even tell you. But when you get the magnetic plate, it tells you to do the platform, the number 2 plate that I showed you, the number 5, which is the magnetic, your dies, and then 1 clear plate. Don't do 2 clear plates. It's too thick. Okay, so we have our letters cut out. I'm just going to pop these out real quick. Okay, so I have all my letters, and you will find that the backing does come off. So just be careful when you're placing your letters. And it's very sticky adhesive, as you can see. All right, so we have casein. And so we're going to add to our strip. And we're gonna just we wanna squeeze it in. Now, the way I measured is that I took all of the dies and put them on there so that I would know it would fit. And because this little boy is just so full of laugh and fun, and I don't know, I just call it kind of a zany card because of how I'm doing his letters. There are ways that you could line them up perfectly straight if you wanted to, but I wanted them crooked. I wanted them fun. Well, those 2 letters got too close together, but that's okay. So we've got it like that. And then I'm going to mount it on the Granny Apple Green. So see the difference? I didn't like not having a mat underneath that, so I squished the letters in closer. I still did his name kind of wonky, but I squished them in a little bit closer so that I could give it a mat. All right, now let's talk about making our shaker card. So what do you need? You either need a piece of cardstock or you need a piece of designer series paper. You could use a punch. I'm using the 2 1/4 inch punch. You could use dies. You could use your paper trimmer and just cut out a hole. So we're gonna go up as far as it'll let me go. I'm gonna punch that out. I have my silicone sheet here and I'm gonna turn it over and I'm gonna add some adhesive to hold down my window sheet. I'm going to place the window sheet over the hole. I'm going to pull in my foam adhesive strips. And I'm going to get as close to the hole, to the circle as I can. And you want this to be a continuous strip. If you did dimensionals, you would have to use a lot of them. And there might be a hole where the sequins could sneak out. Grab our snips. We're going to take that piece and save it for later. Okay, so now I like to remove that backing because if I put the sequins in and then take it off, they might pop out or stick to that before I want them to. So we're going to put the number 5 in there. And then we're going to add our sequins. And now we've already got the backing removed, so we have adhesive. So now I'm just going to place this right here. Super fun. I gotta be able to see that 5. There we go. See it? All right, so now we're ready to add it to our card. Now we have some adhesive there that is pretty tall. The dimensionals are not as tall. You could put dimensionals on here. However, I like to just take another strip. I'm gonna add one at the bottom just because there's so much at the top. And then I'm just going to add some bits on the sides. Because I want all the foam to be the same height. Does that make sense? We're going to add this to our card front. So now everything's the same height. And then we're going to add case in, and then we still have to stamp birthday. And then I even thought about crooking it, and I was like, nah, I need room for the birthday. So we're going to center that right there. Oh, that looks so much better, don't you think, with it matted? I forgot to tell you that I did have a piece of Granny Apple Green that is 1/2 inch by 2 1/4. It kind of fell on the floor. Imagine that. I'm using Granny Apple Green, and we're just going to stamp Happy Birthday. And I'm just going to add this with some liquid glue. And that is it. That's how you make easy shaker cards. So, like I said, I like my new version better. I even thought about matting this in white to do it the opposite, but I was like, I think I'm good. I hope that you were inspired today to make shaker cards. If you ever need anything, you know where to find me. Go to the link in the description box below. Just click the Read More button. Happy stamping, y'all!